Hello internet world, welcome to a new video on the Geekanoids channel. This is my question of the day video. I do this every single week, so please do tune in regularly to see if your question's been featured. And in fact today's video is a result of multiple people asking me very similar questions regarding the new 2018 MacBook Pro. Now the new 2018 MacBook Pro was released just recently. We finally got new updated 8th generation Core i7 and Core i9 processors, and there's been a lot of videos, a lot of video reviews and a lot of drama that I've seen on YouTube regarding especially the new Core i9 build to order configuration of the 15-inch MacBook Pro. In fact, I've watched lots of videos of people testing these, and I want to talk to you about the videos I've watched. Also talk to you about some of the drama I've seen between people on Twitter sort of saying that the case is not quite as it's being reported, or it's not being used properly, or it's not being tested correctly or thoroughly enough. So many different conflicting points of view. And I think it's a worthwhile discussion, because this after all is Apple's flagship laptop for 2018, and indeed we've waited a long time for this update, and we've waited a long time for Apple to bring their laptops in line with what is currently available on Windows based laptops and what has been available for quite some time. Now this is a live broadcast, so before we get into the discussion we're going to take a look inside the live chat and say a big hello to the first 4 inside the live chat. A big hello to Thongles Media, Warwick Sylvester, David James and Sharon Ferreira. Thank you very much for tuning in, I really do appreciate it. Big shout out to Sharon. I think I just replied to one of your comments on one of my other videos, so welcome all the way from Perth, Australia. I find it fascinating hearing from you all where you're actually watching from. I just think it's absolutely amazing, the reach of the channel and the reach of YouTube and sort of online content in general. I think it's absolutely awesome. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in, of course. Let's get this discussion underway. I did already do one video regarding the 2018 MacBook Pros. If you haven't seen that earlier video, I was mainly concentrating on the pricing and the configurations and how ridiculous the upgrade costs are that Apple are charging for the storage. You can start off at sort of 512 gigabytes on the top end MacBook Pro and go all the way up to 4 terabytes, and it costs you such a phenomenal, ridiculous amount for that upgrade. I think it is absolutely bonkers what Apple are charging for those upgrades. But this video is more discussing what I've seen people doing with their review machines. A lot of tech YouTubers have got these machines in and are doing tests on them, including the likes of iJustine, also TLD Today Jonathan, and many more are doing their tests. And what I've found absolutely crazy, and no disrespect to the videos, I think they're very good videos and very entertaining and justified in their way of testing, but I found it absolutely bonkers seeing people put their MacBook Pros into fridges and freezers, mainly fridges or refrigerators, to get the overall temperature of the laptop down, to test whether in fact the Core i9 especially, whether that particular processor is being throttled because the thermals are getting too high, and it's sort of protecting itself. The system is trying to protect that chip from overheating. And indeed, I think it's quite accurate to say that the thermal conductivity of these laptops and the thermal properties aren't necessarily the best, or aren't necessarily suited to this Core i9 chip. You've got to remember that when you see Core i9 chips that are really sort of highly clocked in Windows equivalent laptops, we're normally seeing them in gaming laptops, and those gaming laptops normally have a lot of cooling. They normally have big vents on the back as well to push out air. And you've got to remember that the MacBook Pro, the 15-inch version, going all the way from the base model right up to the Core i9 version, uses the same case. It uses the same thin case, similar to what we've got here on my 13-inch, and the heat dissipation is here, just by the keyboard, just here, just at the top edge of the keyboard. That is where the laptop exhausts any heat from the inside, and it's a super thin design. So first of all, first point I want to make is that the Core i9 in its current form isn't necessarily best suited to the design of the MacBook Pro. It is causing it to generate quite a lot more heat than we're used to seeing in these processors, and thus you will see it being throttled. So it won't work at its peak performance or peak speed if you're pushing it at its maximum performance, doing things like video editing for long periods of time. It's just not going to happen. The system is designed to protect itself, so it's going to protect the processor from overheating and potentially damaging itself. So this is why we're seeing these things happen. Now, I mentioned about people putting their laptops inside fridges and freezers, and I think that it is really interesting to see, and the results are really interesting to see as well. But what we've got to take into account here is a regular user. A regular user is not going to test if their processor is, or the graphics processor or the main processor is being throttled in any way. A normal user is going to switch their laptop on, load up their applications and then use it and say, wow, this is a lot faster than the previous one I had, and the screen is awesome and it's a lot quieter and the keyboard types nicer, or whatever they're going to focus on. That is going to be the main criteria. They're going to turn it on and just use it. But what we're seeing is, of course, the type of videos where things are highlighted, and I would do exactly the same. When I used to do a lot of reviews on MacBook Pros, I would be very, very critical about the quality control, the fit and finish of all of the various components on the computer. And if I had one mark on that computer, I wouldn't be happy if it came out of the box with a mark on. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just get the product out of the box and use it. As you should. You shouldn't be hypercritical if this is a work machine, as long as it performs and does the tasks that you want it to do. And regardless of all the tests, all of the benchmarks, what you're going to find, even without putting it in a fridge or freezer, that the new Core i7 is going to perform better than the previous generation Core i7 machine, and the Core i9 is going to generally perform better than the previous generation and the Core i7 version. You're not going to see the Core i7 version, the 2018 model, perform better than the Core i9, as far as I know. I don't think that's going to happen. And across the board, we're just going to see these incremental increases in speeds and incremental increases in performance and customer satisfaction, of course, because everyone likes to feel they're getting something done a lot faster, because then they can be more productive and then they can justify spending the money on said laptop. People get very heated in the way they discuss things, of course, because they've just spent a lot of money. They're going to defend what they've spent their money on, and this happens across the whole different genres of videos on YouTube, from anything from makeup, baking, cooking, smartphones, anything at all. Somebody is going to buy something, somebody else is going to react in a certain way and say, oh, well, it's not quite as good as this one, because they want justification that what they bought is better than what the content creator has bought to produce the video. So this is going to happen time and time again with all different genres of videos. So I think everyone needs to just take a chill pill and just appreciate that these new machines are wickedly fast, albeit the Core i9 does seem to not work at its peak performance when it hits a certain temperature. So we accept that. Do we all agree? Are we all on the same page? Do we accept it? Let's take a look inside the live chat. We've also got Irish Gamer here from Ireland, Thongles Media from New Zealand, and Henar Strange again from New Zealand. That is awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in. S Baggins, Dave, it is too hot, but you look nice and cool. I am baking. It is so hot, as well as the new MacBook Pros being hot. Sweating. It is very, very hot in the editing room. We've also got Neil Sudan saying afternoon all. Afternoon to you, Neil. And David James, prices are insane. Personally, what do you think of the Surface Pro? Not going to lie, I'm looking at one to replace my MacBook, and that's coming from an Apple fan. Well, we had a Surface Pro in the family for probably about 10 months. It was a Core i7 version, and it was used mainly for graphic art. Animation, Photoshop, that sort of thing, and it developed a fault. Microsoft couldn't fix it. The retailer, of course, because Microsoft couldn't fix it. They couldn't even offer us a replacement because of restraints in stock. So we ended up not replacing it with another Microsoft Surface Pro. And I know I go on and on about not getting on with Windows. It has improved a lot. In fact, I've got a Windows machine sitting behind me here. Video coming on that soon. We're slightly off topic here, but I do want to address your question. The Surface Pro that we had for those 10 months, and this is coming from a real user perspective, did have a lot of problems over that 10 months until the final hardware problem that couldn't get fixed. There were so many software issues, so many problems with it updating something we didn't want it to, put that down to Windows 10 of course, and then something not working in Photoshop or another application, or a driver conflict, or a driver not working for something. There were so many issues, and some very strange issues with the digitizer on it as well. So can I recommend it in its current form? Probably not. They just announced the new very cheap Surface Pro, so if you are looking at one, I would possibly try that first. So I'd possibly go for the very cheap entry-level one first, just to see if it works for you. And then if it does, and you're finding a lack of power with the Surface Pro, then maybe you could then upgrade that to a later version. So anyway, let's take a look inside the live chat again. We've got Darren Gator. Hello Darren, thanks for tuning in. We've got Nico and Connor Morris. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. 666 JG Knots. The Core i9 isn't suited to any of the slim laptops. It's not just the MacBook, the Dell XPS and many others. I do know, or at least I think I read one of Jonathan from TLD Today's tweets saying that he's going to get the Dell XPS Core i9 version in to have a look at. So shout out to John. Do check out John's channel. I'm sure he's going to do a test on the Core i9 version of the Dell XPS. Neil Sudan, 13-inch MacBook Pro arriving Friday. Awesome, congratulations on your new laptop. I've no fears of heat. Also Jeff Fanning tuning in from Portugal, and originally from Ireland by the sounds of it. Perhaps you're on holiday. If you are, have a fantastic holiday. Darren Gator, people are very protective about what they've bought or the brands they like. Very, very true. One of the main reasons I stopped doing so many reviews of smartphones, or indeed comparative videos, is it caused so much conflict between people in the chat. And I pride myself on the community that Geekanoids has built up, and I didn't like seeing people argue in the chat. I know everyone's entitled to an opinion, but again, as Darren said, and I do agree with you Darren, people are very, very protective about certain brands. And indeed I think that the reason they are that way is because if you spent, and I agree, I would be to a certain degree, if you've spent sort of 500, 600, £1,000 on a smartphone, and then you've got people saying, oh, you should have bought this, of course you're going to say, well no, I bought the best choice for me. So that's why people are so protective about it. David James, thank you for the advice, Dave, of course, as always. I love macOS, but I think Apple are getting a little stagnant when it comes to the Mac. Yeah, me too. I was hoping for a lot more with this new release that they just did. Dave's Physical Media, hello to you too, and the iPad Kid 1000, thanks for tuning in. Connor Morris, it's far too hot apparently for the temperature. Yeah, it is. If you're referring to the Core i9 or just the weather in general, both are very hot, very, very hot. But regardless, let me just backtrack. The drama about the Core i9 being throttled, not performing at its best, rest assured, if you do go for one, then I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised and pleasantly pleased with the overall performance of your laptop. And unless you start really putting it under the magnifying glass and trying to pick holes and being very, very judgmental on the tiniest of aspects on the laptop, I think it will be absolutely fine. If I was buying one today though, I think for the performance increase over the 2017 Core i9 over the 2018 Core i9 over the 2018 Core i7, I think if it was me, I would probably buy the Core i7, because I don't think the speed increase would be that noticeable unless you're dealing with very, very large or processor intensive applications. large files or maybe high-res videos, maybe the Core i9 might save you a few seconds here or there. But I would probably stick with the Core i7. I just think it's more suited to this very thin laptop, and I think I would feel safer buying the Core i7. But that is it. That's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. Thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. I really do appreciate it. If you've got any new questions you want considered for next week's video, please do drop them in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I either go live or upload a new video. And don't forget to hit that like button. I'll see you all in the next one.